Hi, everybody. I'm Dror Gurevich, CEO of the Velocity Network Foundation, and I have with me today James Owens, President and CEO at Cisive, one of the largest background screening providers on this planet, and one of the founding members of Velocity Network Foundation. Jim also sits on the board of the Velocity Network Foundation, and in general, one of my favorite people in the industry. Jim, thank you for joining us.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
Okay, so we're here to talk about Cisive, Velocity Network, and all things blockchain for HR. And why don't you start with presenting yourself and how did you end up in the background screening space?
It's an interesting question. If you look at my background, I was a submarine officer in the United States Navy for 10 years. I don't know how in the heck I ended up in this space. No, really. I After getting out of the Navy, I went to work as a information technology consultant for Ernst& Young and was in their what they called the Advanced Development Center, which was in the dot-com boom. This was around the year 2000. So um, worked there as a senior architect for several years, and then uh, through a colleague of mine who was working on an IT project for a company then called Carco, which was to become Cisive. A colleague of mine was working on that project, and they said, "Hey, we're looking for a new CIO because we need someone that could carry us into the next century." And they brought us together, and I talked to the owner and the then president, and decided to get out of the consulting business and go to work for a background screening company, largely to solve their technology problems. But so that's how I got into the background screening business. And after working for several years as the CIO, I became the chief operating officer and then later the CEO. I've been there for 18 years. So
Amazing.
yeah, it really is. It's an interesting industry. Peering at it from outside, you'd think, my God, what is there so complicated about this business? And it turns out it's among the most difficult and complicated businesses you can imagine, simply because, well, we're going to talk about that soon, but just thinking about the problems you have to solve in that business to get the information, it's quite difficult. So,
Yeah. So before we start, can you describe Cisive in a few sentences, the type of solutions you provide, prominent customers, numbers of lives you're touching, just so people will get a sense of your impact on the industry?
absolutely. So, a lot of people think of background screening companies and they think, well, okay, I'm going to go run a database report online or whatever. And really, it's a lot more than that. So we're not really just a background screening company. We really consider ourselves a tech-enabled service company. So there's a lot of software involved, and we provide essentially a very essential and integrated part of the talent acquisition experience. So when companies are going to go hire individuals, you know, they have to make that experience a really good one for the applicant. And so you have a lot of different systems that have to come into play on that. So we have very, very sophisticated software that hooks into your applicant tracking systems on the front end, your HRIS systems on the back end, and we sort of provide a glue to that process to smoothly get candidates from the rec matching process all the way through to get their background screening, drug testing, whatever else has to get done, and then get them on hired and trained. And for some clients we do post employment type processing too, such as right to work, I-9, E-Verify in the United States, and other types of right to work processes in other countries. And then sometimes we even do offboard processing and things like that. So it's a full blown suite of solutions that interoperate with other HR systems, talent acquisition systems, and HR systems to accomplish the employee lifecycle. And it's a critical service to a lot of companies. Some of our biggest customers are uh, well known in the United States: healthcare, HCA, Hospital Corporation of America, which is the largest hospital network in the nation, Comcast, which is, as you know, an integrated media services company. Grew up as a cable company, but of course they bought NBC and they became a media giant. Delta Airlines, so and then Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo. So those are examples of companies that we have in our portfolio. We service some of the largest, most complex companies in the world with very, very complicated programs that are flung all over the world, and that's what we specialize in. So it's solving complicated problems. When you get to the scale level of these companies, you're dealing with distributed decision making, lots of offices, lots of different processes, a lot of times a lot of renovation that has to happen because any large company, you have organic growth and things are not always the same across the company. So those are the types of things that we excel in. But it's a very interesting business that's a lot broader than probably most people realize.
And you're touching millions of lives every year, right?
Every year, millions of lives, and perform a critical service at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I think you were one of the first organizations to jump on the wagon and join
I think number
Velocity.
two. Someone beat
Yeah,
me to it.
yeah. You're number two. I think the Cornerstone were number one, and I was blown away by the fact that one of the largest background screening providers has has joined to innovate and disrupt their own industry. So I was expecting a reaction that is completely different. That this is going to be cannibalizing our industry. So why the heck do we want to be?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
And you've heard me talk about this before, but you this is going to happen one way or another, right? And I think I was in a prior, you guys got a prior video of me talking about 100-year-old processes that we use. It's a maddening mixture of old and new. We have all this fancy technology to do this workflow. Applicants can log in and they have a context aware, mobile enabled. They can fill out these forms, and then on the back end, you're making phone calls to try and try and contact a school 16 times to get a diploma, or call an employer 18 times to try and get them to verify someone's employment, and finally get somebody, and then they don't have any information or the information's wrong. And by the way, if someone changes jobs from here to there, or they went from another company that uses another background screening provider to us, we have to do the same work over again because the information's lost. Right? This is the definition of madness. Right? And so you might think, well, Jim, aren't you destroying your own business? The answer is no, because the types of stuff that we're trying to solve with the Velocity Foundation are actually the least profitable parts of our business. It's the areas where we spend the most effort and actually, quite frankly, have the most problems with quality. And so, I want to be a disruptor in this business, not a disruptee. And it was going to be one or the other, because if it wasn't us, somebody else is going to do it. So seize the day, right? And so that's the motivation. And look, our business model, and it's going to take years. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. And in fact, in the transition, we're going to play a critical role, because there's no way that the Velocity Foundation can directly hook up to millions of employers and hundreds of thousands of schools and all this. It just is not going to happen overnight. Probably never happen completely. So there's always going to be a role where background screening companies act as we call it in the network, notaries, but basically intermediaries that help smooth the information highway onto the network as well as off the network, right, on the inspection side. So we're going to play a critical role for many, many years, and that role will slowly change as the network becomes more integrated into this sort of new world that we're going into. And by the way, as that changes, we'll be able to focus, as the years go by, we'll be able to focus more on information packaging and value-added services instead of essentially what amounts to data acquisition, right? Which is, historically, if you look at what we're doing, we spend probably 80% of our time on data acquisition and only 20% of our time on composition or packaging or inference on the information. And quite frankly, it really should be the other way around, right? So that's really the nutshell.
Yeah. So, talking directly to your customers, what benefits would they see from your participation in the Velocity Network?
So what's going to happen in the short to medium term as we get this spun up and we start to actually be able to both inject and use data that's on the network, it's going to have an efficiency increase because essentially you're not having to do work over and over again. Now that will be limited at first, but as time goes on, our backgrounds are going to be less expensive to produce. They're going to be higher quality, and they're also going to take less time. And by the way, in the talent acquisition business, time is money, right? I mean, organizations can track the cost of hiring somebody. It's proportional to the amount of time that they're spending to get them on board. And I don't know if you've looked at you have looked at the statistics. I could tell you that most companies, if they look at their whole time to fill, which is from beginning to end, you'd be shocked. It's usually 40 to 50 days or more. 2 months to get someone on board from beginning to end. And most companies spend, if they really add up the costs, they spend anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per person to get the people on board, right? And so any way that companies can make that process more efficient, and by the way, it's a win all the way around because it's also a win for the employee, right? The faster and easier and better that process is for the applicant, the better it is. And so it's not only reduces the company's costs, it makes the employee or the new employee happier too. So, and our customers will see it. As soon as we start really getting volume through, we're going to be able to reap the benefits of it.
Do you have a time horizon for when you will go live with solutions based on the Velocity Network?
We're involved in VEC. We're involved in a lot of things. As soon as possible, we're going to get it.
As soon as possible, a year from now, a month from now?
No, it's not going to be a month because I don't think Velocity's really going to be spun up in a month. I think we're working on testnet now, and I think we'll have mainnet spun up probably later on this year. So I think realistically, we're probably talking about early next year to get real production volume on it. But I don't want it to be much later than that. I really would like to see, us operational on Velocity as soon as we can, because I think we can start delivering benefits to customers very early on. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So moving to the next question. You're personally very much involved in much of the work that is done on the Velocity Network Foundation. You're very active. You're leading some of the committee's work, especially around the tokenomics. What is your personal journey here? What is your personal take on this? Not as CEO of Cisive, but personally as a senior leader in the business industry.
Well, number one, I'm a technology guy, so I get great pleasure out of coming up with new innovative solutions for old vexing problems, and that's exactly what this is, right? It's a problem that's, quite frankly, has been in need of solution for a long time. And by the way, we could have done this type of solution not with blockchain, but with more traditional technologies, but the business world wasn't ready for it, right? So this is more than just a business problem, but it's really, really exciting to see a confluence of companies get together and cooperate and compete, but also cooperate to get this done. And look, I'm a true believer in self-sovereignty. I believe that people ought to have control over their own information. And I believe that some of the things that have gone on in this industry, Cisive is known as one of the highest quality background, if not the highest quality background screening provider in the world. But errors still get made. And I think that when you have to do the same work over and over again, that's when errors creep in. So I think one of the most exciting things about this to me is it's going to result in a big win for the consumer, the employee, the applicant. And to me, that's exciting. That's a real step change, real innovation in our business, right? This is the real, quite frankly, the first real generational change in our business in a long, long time. and it actually goes in the right direction. It goes in the direction of improving the experience, improving the quality level, a win for the applicant, right? Some of the changes that have happened in the past in our industry have actually gone in the opposite direction. So when some of our when the industry went through a consolidation and really commoditization back over the last decade, the quality levels in general in the industry actually went down because they tried to database information that really was not accurate and up to date, and more errors crept into the work product, and that resulted in a worse experience for applicants. So I think this represents, quite frankly, a U-turn for the industry, and it's very exciting to me.
No, I totally agree. If you would have one message to communicate to the labor market stakeholders in this context, what would that be?
I say read up on the Velocity Network and join, because I think that, of all the and we're in the Wild West, right? I think you've said that too. We're this is still the early innings of this transformation, and there are other initiatives that are going on across the world, not just this one. Although I think Velocity by far is the most promising, precisely because it's brought the leading players together to solve this problem. And I think, I've said it before, it's not just a technology problem, it's a business problem. And, you have to have a consortium, to use that word, of companies come together to work together to solve it. It's not just a technology problem. And so I think the more interest and participation we can get from different aspects of the entire human resources, people and culture, if you want to call it that, even broader area. I think that's what's going to ensure the success of the foundation, and also improve the products that each one of these companies are offering.
This is it for us on this session. Thank you so much, Jim. This has been super interesting, and thank you so much for your insights. I really enjoyed it, and we'll probably be talking very soon. Thank you, people, for listening in. For more content and talks with thought leaders like Jim, follow Velocity Network Foundation on social media. See you soon, everybody. Thank you very much.